Previously on the Palmetto Trail, our day began with leaving Poinsett State Park and making our way through the Wateree Passage and its many old railroad trestles. At the end of the Wateree Passage, we met up with Trail Coordinator Jamie Turner to get some trail intel on the not yet completed Boyd Passage that will connect the Wateree and Fort Jackson passages. After getting turned around a bit in the wildlife management area of the Boyd Passage, we finally found a decent campsite to set up camp for the night. The next day started off rather cold, but we warmed up in no time as we made our way to the top of Cook's Mountain. After enjoying the view, we made our way into the Fort Jackson Passage and collected our food bags that we had hung several days prior. We moved quickly through the Fort Jackson Passage, anticipating what lay ahead in Columbia later that day. After learning that we would not be able to enter the military base at Gate 5 on a Saturday, we decided to get a shuttle from Marie Butler to the beginning of the Capital City Passage. In this final episode, we get a late start on the Capital City Passage and decide to find a motel for the night and enjoy some non-trail food while in Columbia. The next morning, we started off with some duck donuts before making our way through the Capital City Passage, which ended up being one of our favorites. At the end of the passage, we were picked up by a fellow backpacker for a brunch stop at a local craft brewery, and then he shuttled us to the beginning of the Peak to Prosperity Passage at the Alston Trail Head. We found a nice campsite at the end of the passage and enjoyed our first fire of the entire trip. On our final day, we completed the Peak to Prosperity Passage, then walked by the small town of Prosperity and on into Newberry, where our 130-mile journey along the Palmetto Trail finally comes to an end. All right, thank you. Here we go. There's I-77 right there, folks. And we're gonna be on the lookout for some food and a motel. And there's our shuttle driver, Marie. She was a lifesaver today. Nothing like some lovely sidewalk walking in Columbia. Oh yeah. Believe it or not, it's actually kind of a nice change. I was glad to be done with the Fort Jackson Passage. So we took a little detour off the passage, making our way down to a barbecue joint. And then while we're in there eating, we're gonna look for a motel. Well, this is where we ended up tonight, at Awendaw Lodge here in Columbia. Back on the trail first thing in the morning.
Get those socks dry.
Good morning here from the Awendaw Lodge. Leonidas and I are just about packed up and ready to hit this road walk through Columbia. And we have a shuttle lined up to get us to the Alston Trail Head at the beginning of the Peak to Prosperity Passage around 11 o'clock. So that's our plan. It's 7:30 now, so we got most of the morning to make our way through Columbia. We found a quick breakfast stop here at Duck Donuts for a couple donuts and a nice cup of hot coffee. Check out this goodness. Oh man, got me a medium light roast coffee with a little cream and what was this donut called? Maple salted caramel, right? Something like that.
It was called something complicated, actually.
Yeah. And Leonidas got himself a little blueberry and powdered sugar.
Yeah, a little blueberry pancake.
Good stuff. Currently enjoying our urban walk through the Capital City Passage. Only a few miles in, maybe 4 miles in. We got about 2 miles to USC, the campus of USC. And it is so pleasant out. Perfect hiking temperatures. It's calm, partly sunny. It's just a gorgeous day. I'm really enjoying this. We've been walking by some beautiful churches, and this is Sunday morning, so a lot of them are getting filled up. You know, sometimes when you're walking through trails that take you through towns and cities, you know, you feel like you're in the hood, but the Palmetto Trail does a great job of showcasing the beauty of Columbia, you know, the way that they routed the trail through here. It's been amazing. Really enjoying this walk. Much more than Fort Jackson. Pretty cool sign in the concrete there. Wheat Street is where we are currently walking. Almost to USC. It's a pretty cool wall here. That wrought iron door. Oh, it's got them all the way down. Very cool. Currently walking through the heart of USC. I think we just found a faster way to pass through this passage. What do you think, Leonidas?
I don't know. Might be fun.
You prefer a horse.
Yeah, I'd prefer a horse, actually. I haven't ridden one in a while.
This area right here reminds me of Savannah a little bit. Getting ready to walk by their gorgeous state capitol up here. There she is, the state capitol. All right, now we're around to the front of the Capitol building. That's pretty spectacular. Now that is what I call a beautiful state capitol building right there. Well, we finally arrived here at the Riverfront Park, ready to walk along the canal. Hey, and we even got a little Palmetto Trail kiosk here. The mighty Congaree. It's always nice when you find a restroom along the way. And water. Okay, we have officially entered the canal walk. She is murky. Congaree is flowing good today. All right, we've made it to the end of our river walk. We got some pretty nice rapids over here. Let's go see if we can get a little closer look at them. Right over here across the river, I believe, is our shuttle, Lyle. We met him on Facebook. He just recently did the Lake Marion Passage. And he's been following our hike. He's going to give us a lift to the Alston Trail Head. Here's a better look at these rapids. Wow. Is that what you call, I think that's what you call a low head dam. Got some power going across there. Here's a little closer look. The mighty Congaree. Check this out, this is pretty cool. All right, we made it here to the end of the river walk. This is Lyle. He's going to give us a lift to the Alston Trail Head, and I think we're going to go grab some lunch on the way. Nice to meet you, Lyle.
Yep, nice
really
to meet
appreciate
you
it.
So
this is where Lyle's taking us to eat. Savage Craft Ale Works. This looks like a spectacular place. He said they have brunch, maybe some good craft brews. Ooh, I like the AstroTurf. Sweet. That's comfy. All right, let's go get some grub.
So as fate would have it, I was doing pretty good, and then I was in what I thought was a dry spot, and I stepped in something, and foot became like, seriously, that was completely avoidable. Right.
This is the chorizo hash breakfast. The presentation is amazing. Looks really good. Lyle got the same thing, and Leonidas got what?
Pancake breakfast.
Pancake breakfast.
Yep.
That just looks like
pancakes.
Standard run-of-the-mill breakfast right there. I'm sure it's going to be good. Good times, man. Good times. Good food here.
Together, they were the South Carolina Military Academy.
Okay.
And when the Citadel was formed.
All right, we have arrived at the Alston Trail Head. We made it to the Peak to Prosperity Trailhead. Special thanks to Lyle for bringing us up here from Columbia, the Capital City Passage. Took us to an awesome restaurant, awesome brewery. Had a great time. Had a great drive up here, and we're ready to get moving on the Peak to Prosperity Trail. We've got about 5.5 miles to a potential campsite, but it's pretty early in the day. We might continue on beyond that and possibly even finish up this entire passage.
Dude, they've even got tent pads here, man.
Wow, this is a great place to camp.
Fire rings.
This is where we were originally going to meet up and camp at.
Oh, that's right. We were going to camp here. I forgot about that.
Hey, Rexy. Hey, boy. How you doing, buddy?
Hi.
You're a happy dog. You ready to go hiking, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Lyle. Drive safe, man. Appreciate it. All right, you ready to do this?
Yep.
Let's roll. Peak to Prosperity, here we come. Well, so far, this is an amazing beginning to a passage. I see a tent down there on the right. Camped right on the river with a picnic table. Oh my gosh, this would have been an awesome spot to camp for the night.
I can feel that cold coming off the water, too.
Yeah, it's a little chilly out. Probably in the low 60s. Beautiful trestle here, crossing the Broad River, I believe. Well, I gotta say, so far, I am pretty impressed with the beginning of this passage, Peak to Prosperity. I mean, what more could you ask for? Comfortable hiking temperatures, pine trees, soft pine duff trail, no rain, no wind. I mean, this is absolutely perfect. Yeah, I'd like the sky to be a little more blue for pictures and video, but that's okay. This is a beautiful passage. Only about a mile in. I'm loving it so far. I feel like this is very similar to the Wateree passage so far. Coming out to a little road crossing here. About 3.5 miles in. We've got less than 2 miles to an established campsite. I have a feeling we're going to be there a little too early. It's only 2 o'clock right now. So, we're at least going to stop there and crunch the numbers and see how far it is to my truck at the Newberry Police Department. Crims Creek. That's where we are. This is absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite passages so far. Lyle, if you're watching this, thank you so much for your hospitality today, for meeting us at the end of the canal walk there in Columbia, taking us to an awesome restaurant with some wonderful craft brews, great food, and then bringing us all the way up here to Alston. We are so grateful for your hospitality. Thank you. It was awesome of you to do that for us. We are about 1.5 miles from the campsite. Looking forward to checking us out, crunching the numbers, and make a decision whether we're going to continue on or stop there. It's a little too early in the day to stop, but we'll see when we get there. Love the nice rushing water sound. We've kind of slowed down a little bit. Check it out. Look at those nice, leisurely, relaxing steps along the Peak to Prosperity. We only got 2.5 miles to the final trestle and potentially the final water source. So I think we are going to make our way there, reevaluate our mileage, our camping options, and we might stop there for the night. That's around mile 8 on the Peak to Prosperity Trail. Now, if we continue on beyond 8, there's only a 2.7 miles further to finish it. So about 10.7 miles in this passage. But then you're close to I-26. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of camping options. There's this pond there, Epstein's Pond or something like that. Yeah, I don't know if we can camp there or not. I think our best bet's going to be stopping at that mile marker 8, the final trestle that crosses a water source. And I think there's a trailhead there. Hopefully we can do a stealth camp there for the night and finish up our final 14 or so miles into the Newberry Police Department to get my truck tomorrow morning. The sun decided to come out and make an appearance again. It's glorious. It feels like it's 70 degrees, but I think it's only 60. It's just so calm and peaceful out here. You hear the spring birds, hear some peeper frogs from time to time. Greenery on the ground. It's just really nice to see the forest coming alive this time of year down here in South Carolina. And we're coming into Palmetto. It's a trailhead up here. It's not a small town. I think there's a Dollar General and a little grocery store. I'm not sure if we're going to stop and take a peek in there or not. I could actually go for some ice cream maybe. Coming into the little small town of Palmetto on the Peak to Prosperity Passage. It's a little trailhead parking area here. What do we have here? A beautiful campsite that's not on any of the maps. This is at mile 7.5. 7 1/4. It's about a mile and a quarter back to Palmetto. This is gorgeous. Cut firewood, fire pit, a tent pad, 2 picnic tables, and steps down to the water source. This is incredible. It's just too early to stop. We got to go 3 or 4 more miles. It's very tempting to stop here, though. This is perfect. If it was 2 hours later, my butt would be at that campsite. All right, just got some updated information. I just spoke with Furman, the trail coordinator for this area, and lo and behold, there are numerous campsites along here that are not on the map yet. So we are going to the final one at mile 8.25, just over Coon Trestle Road. I think that's what it's called, Coon Trestle Road. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And trestle number 20. So as soon as we cross that, the final campsite will be on the right at approximately mile 8.25 of the Peak to Prosperity Passage. Picnic tables, fire ring, water source. What more could you want? 4 o'clock p.m. Coming up on 19 miles for the day. Kind of a short day, but that's all right. Made some good progress. And just across this trestle number 20, we should have a campsite up here on the right. That's going to be home for the night. Only 15 or 16 miles left for tomorrow. Back to my truck in Newberry. All right, we made it to our campsite. Very nice. It's actually 2 sites here, or 2 picnic tables. Home sweet home. So it just dawned on me here at camp that I've never taken the time to show you the gear that I brought on this trip. It seems like just about every night it was dark when we arrived at camp, and usually dark when we left camp in the morning. So since it's just a little after 4, we still have plenty of daylight. I'm going to take you on a camp tour and show you all the gear that I brought on this trip. Let's start with the big 3. This is the Z-Packs Duplex in camo. My sleep system inside is the Neo Air X-Lite pad. Normally, I like to use my Nemo tensor, but it was full of holes, 9 holes, so it did not make it on this trip. So that's the Neo Air X-Lite. My quilt of choice on this trip is the UGQ Bandit top quilt, 20 degree with 950 fill. And my pillow is the Nemo Pillow. And the backpack to carry everything on this trip is the Light AF Curve 40. Normally I prefer my Curve 35, but it doesn't have waist straps like the 40 does. It just has a webbing strap attached to it instead of a waist belt, and it was starting to tear. So gonna have to get that repaired before I can go back to using my 35. So that's the Light AF Curve 40. Very comfortable pack, and I could easily carry up to 40 pounds if needed, but on this trip I don't think I really got over 25. And the trekking poles that I use to put up my Z-Packs tent and for hiking are the Fezon Compact 3, the world's lightest aluminum trekking pole. Over to the picnic table where the rest of my gear is sprawled out. For cooking, I have the BRS 3000, one of the lightest stoves out there. Works great. For my pot, I kind of have a knockoff, cheaper brand called a Rock Creek titanium pot, 550 milliliters. I'm using the Platypus quick draw filter. I love it just as much as my Sawyer squeeze, if not more. I still use the Sawyer squeeze, but the Platypus made it on this trip. A titanium spoon, Sea to Summit. And the rain jacket I used on this trip, which we had to use several times, is the Helium 2 by Outdoor Research. It does wet out a little bit, but you know, for the most part, I stay dry. It worked fine for me. And for other clothing, this is a new item. The Kui Peloton 97. Absolutely love this fleece. It's so lightweight. I think it weighs like 5 or 5.5 ounces. It's very packable, very warm, very light. Thanks to Leonidas for recommending this, because he has it the exact same fleece. And Dan from Backpacking Adventures. He's actually the guy that got me thinking about getting this. This is an awesome piece of gear. Highly recommended. Got a couple pieces of Dyneema here. Dyneema Ditty bag and a Dyneema electronics bag. And a fanny pack made of Dyneema from Light AF. Mavic Mini Drone, DJI. An REI, just a simple REI beanie to keep my head warm at night. And the shoes are the Topo Ultra Venture 3s with the Flaming Dirty Girl gaiters, and I have Injinji toe sock liners underneath my darn Tufts. And the food bag, more Dyneema. I believe this is also from Light AF. And I had another food bag that is currently hanging at the trailhead at Fort Jackson. That one is from Ben over at Hilltop Packs. Does a great job making all kinds of wonderful products for backpacking. And that is just about everything that came with me on the Palmetto Trail. The only thing I didn't mention is the camera that I am currently filming on right now. It is the Canon G7X Mark III. If you have any other questions about some of the gear that you saw that maybe I left out or forgot to mention, just drop me a comment down below and I'll let you know what it was. Well, I think it's time to get some dinner going. I'm getting hungry. Fire sure feels nice. Our first one of the entire trip. For the appetizer tonight, wasabi and sriracha peas. We got a boil, and my little grabber fell down. Doggone it, how am I gonna get that? It's hot. I can't get it off. This beef stroganoff from Peak Refuel is one of my favorite meals. It calls for 6 ounces. I put 9 or 10 in. It's always way too dry for me. I think they're way off on the amount of water they recommend. Well, today was a really great day on trail. Really enjoyed today, especially going through Columbia. So if you're ever considering skipping that section because it's all through the city, I think you might regret it. I highly recommend the Capital City Passage. And then getting to Peak the Prosperity Passage. That was one we've been waiting on for quite a while. Really enjoyed that one, especially the camping options along it. And we're here at Trestle number 20, just beyond Trestle 20 at the final campsite here on the Peak to Prosperity Trail. We got 16 miles tomorrow morning into Newberry, and that will be the end of our trip. It's a little sad, kind of bittersweet, a little sad, but at the same time a little exciting, knowing we're going to be finishing up our 6 days out here on the Palmetto Trail. Well, it's my bedtime. I'm ready to turn in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for our final day on the Palmetto Trail. Good morning. On day 6 here on the Palmetto Trail, we got the fire going. It never went out. We just had to stoke it up. And we're gonna have some warmth during breakfast today. Coffee time. And we're off. Just left our campsite a moment ago. That was a nice campsite, having a picnic table and a fire. The water source is a little more difficult to get down to. You gotta walk down a pretty steep hill to get to it, but hey, at least we had water. We got about 2¼ miles to finish up Peak to Prosperity. And then we have about a 8 or 9 mile road walk or so into Newberry, and then on into the police department where my truck is. Shaping up to be another glorious day on the trail. One word of caution when you're out here on the Peak to Prosperity Trail: do not get off trail. You will regret it, and I'll show you why. There you go. Please heed my warning. This is what you get along most of the Peak to Prosperity Passage. A great trail for biking, that's for sure, and running. Passing under I-26. Very noisy. Here we are at the final trailhead of Peak to Prosperity. Beautiful little daffodil field there. I think those are daffodils. Working on the final mile of this passage. I noticed the noise from I-26 is a little quieter here, but there's not really a water source that I see. So glad we stayed where we did. Here we are at the end of the line. The end of the Peak to Prosperity Trail at mile 10.7. Walking's not going to be quite as easy now. This almost feels like we're back on the Wateree Passage. Very similar feeling with the rail line still in place and the railroad ties. Definitely less used though. Back that way is Peak to Prosperity, and we've just come off the tracks here at 773, making a left. Oh, it looks like we got maybe a ½ mile or a mile walk on this road here to Prosperity, and then we'll hop on US Route 76 up to Newberry. We got less than 12 miles to go. All right, coming out to US 76 off of 773. 3 miles to Prosperity. Just a hair over 9 miles to go. We have arrived to Prosperity. Just under 8 miles to go. Currently walking out of Prosperity, heading towards Newberry. We stopped at the Dollar General, picked up a few snacks, some cheer wine, and salt and vinegar chips. This is pretty neat. We've got a community garden here. A few things starting to grow in there, it looks like. Hey, what do you know? We've arrived in Newberry. Woohoo! Just a few more miles to the police department. We're actually beginning the Newberry Passage right here. So we're gonna knock off about 3 miles of this passage on the way to the police department. Lynch's Woods. Yep. So Lynch's Woods Park is right here at the Newberry Sheriff's Department. This would have been a very good place to leave my truck for the week. We would be done. But originally I was planning on hiking the Lynch's Woods and the Newberry Passage. That's why I parked in town at the police department. Hey buddy. You're a big dog. You're a big dog, but you're a good dog. Yeah, you're a good dog. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Hey there. Man, you look mean. Looks like a big gremlin. Currently walking through historic downtown Newberry. Getting ready to wrap this thing up here in less than a half mile. Little downtown park area right beside the Newberry Opera House. Well, folks, we made it back to the Newberry Police Department where my truck is. Feels so good to be here. It's hard to believe we just walked from Santee. Alrighty, folks, we have made it back to the Newberry Police Department, and this is going to conclude our 130-mile section hike from Santee to Newberry. I want to thank Leonidas for joining me on this section hike. We had a great adventure, lots of memories made. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. I'm going to drop a link down below in the description of Leonidas' version when he releases his, as well as my two-part series from last year when I section hiked from Awendaw to Santee. Alrighty, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And until next time, this is Leonidas. I'm Jason Wish, and we're wishing you a great time on your next adventure.